I am with the new head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, Jeff Blashill. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Excited.
Has it sunk in?
Yeah, it's starting to. You know, it has a little bit, and but certainly being here today, great to get through this. It was a fun experience, but ready to really kind of get to work.
You said in your introductory press conference, this is the exact job you wanted. Why was that the case?
Yeah, one is the people. You know, I think ended up the research I'd done coming into this job through the interview process, both with Danny Wirtz and Kyle Davidson and his group. I really hit it off with his group and kind of have a shared vision of where we want to go. And two would be the player pool, like really excited about the group of players we have, and certainly a young group, but I think there's talent at each position, potential at each position to really be difference makers with also depth. So that's always an exciting time as a coach. And then three would just be my experiences through coaching. And yeah, to me, the different experiences I've had, both leading into my time in the NHL, both as a head coach, as an assistant, I think led me to be really a kind of perfect fit for this job and for the job to be a perfect fit for me.
What would you say your coaching philosophy is, and has it changed from your time in Detroit?
Well, it certainly, I think anytime you have a chance to go to a new experience like I did in Tampa, there's certainly tweaks and you learn different things. And sometimes it's just a reminder of what's important, a reminder of what you need to be really good at. One of the things that I think Jon Cooper does an excellent job in Tampa is he really connects with his players. He's able to hold them accountable, but still have that connection. And I think when I've been at my best, that's what I've done as well. And so just a reminder of how important it is to make sure you build those relationships. When those relationships are built, then you can be very demanding, like you have to be as a coach, but you kind of are on the same page. Schematically, the philosophy, foundation of hockey to me has kind of stayed the same. And it really starts with fundamentals and kind of those winning fundamentals and habits. And that'll be a critical piece, especially for our group, because we do have a lot of young players. We're implementing those fundamentals, those winning type habits, so that no matter what we do system-wise, they have those good fundamentals within the system.
I was talking with one of your former players who you coached in the Worlds yesterday, and he said, Blash is straightforward, and he held us accountable. And that's something that we needed, especially a team like that at the Worlds that has some talent from around the National Hockey League. How important is accountability, even when you're in a developmental process?
Critical. And I think, making sure that you kind of create a standard and make it clear to everybody what that standard is. Once you make that clear, it's then easy to kind of hold guys accountable. They know what's allowed, what's not allowed. There's certain non-negotiables that no matter who the player is, what the player's name is, they have to uphold those standards, uphold that kind of championship level. And honestly, as you kind of go through the education process of it, the players understand that that's how you win. And really, in the end, they want that. The players want to win at the highest level, and to do that, I think as you go through that education process, they know they need that level of accountability. And for me, it's about being direct and honest with players and telling them when they're on that path to greatness and when they're not on that path to greatness, and same thing for our team.
Well, we certainly hope Connor Bedard's on the path to greatness. Have you had a chance to communicate with him at all? And you were asked in the introductory press conference about helping him take the next step, take his game to the next levels.
Mm-hmm. I have had a chance to talk to Connor, certainly an important phone call. I thought it was a good start for us. I want to build a really good relationship with him as well as all our players. And one of the things with Connor is he's just very, very driven. Everybody I've talked to talks about how driven he is, how much he wants to be a great player, how much he thinks about hockey. And honestly, the great ones that I've been around, that's what they do. And so ultimately Connor will become a great player because Connor wants to do that. Where I'm going to help him is learning those ways to not just become a great offensive player, but also become a winner and do all the little things it takes at the NHL level, not at levels underneath, but at the NHL level, to make sure that we mold him and all our young players to have those championship kind of characteristics, those fundamentals that it takes to be great.
Do you see anything with your time with Nikita Kucherov and his style of play that you could take and help bring to Connor's game, or just things that approaches he takes?
Yeah, certainly my time with Cooch is extremely valuable. he's a super unique player in the league, one of the very, very best players. Wants to win to an extraordinary level, but also wants to be great. So all those things I think can help then myself pass some of those things on to Connor. They're somewhat similar in players in the sense that they're going to create separation a lot of times with their mind. They're going to create separation with getting into the right spots at the right time, but they both have really, really good ability with the puck in that offensive zone from a shooting and a passing standpoint. So there are similarities between the two. Certainly, the experience that I've gone through with Kuch and a number of other players I can help apply to Connor and other guys on our team.
Development's such a big component of this rebuild. What do you look at as your role in the development?
I think it's a huge piece of it. I was asked earlier about the balance between winning and development, and I think they go absolutely hand in hand. I think the best way to help your team get better is to develop your players and help them reach their fullest potential. That's how it kind of pushes your ceiling up. And so for me, in order to not just our young players either, but all our players to continue in their development, number one, getting them to understand that they have to own their development because they're the most important people in the process. So they have to come to work every day to get better, not just get by. But two, help guide them in that, help create the routines needed to get there, help develop little drills for each player and a development plan for each player to maximize their potential.
You confirmed that 𝗦cie𝗰𝗶𝗟 is a part of your coaching staff, that Anders Sorensen will be back, Jimmy Waite continues as goaltending coach. You plan to add another assistant with experience. What do you expect the roles for Sorensen and 𝗃a to be?
We'll get there eventually with our whole staff and kind of decide what each guy's going to do specifically. Anders will certainly work with our defensemen, in their kind of development. 𝗃s will certainly have a big role in the development of our forwards. Those are two that are kind of defined already. Special teams will divvy out, but we'll also, I will certainly empower our coaching staff. I think it's a critical piece. It's something I thought Jon Cooper did a very good job of in Tampa. And so that means giving each coach an area of the game to make sure they own. One will have a defensive zone, one will have a neutral zone, one will have an offensive zone, and that they own those zones. When the meetings when we're going to give a meeting in that area, they'll run those meetings. It gives them a bigger voice. I think it invigorates the coaches, and it also means when I do step in, my voice is bigger. So I'm excited about the opportunity to have guys on staff that I really trust, that I believe in, that I know can guide or really push our message forward.
Being in Tampa, you haven't had a lot of head-to-head opportunities to watch the Blackhawks. How much have you seen them, especially late in last season, and what we saw in the Worlds from Frank Nazar and Alex 𝗏lacek?
Yeah, no, the Worlds was great. It was great to see, great for the U.S. to come away with that goal. It's been a long time coming. I've been a part of a lot of those staff, so I was super excited about that. Both Frank and Alex played very well in the games that I watched. I had a chance to watch the entire gold medal game, and I thought they played excellent. Had a chance to go back and watch a number of the games at the end of the year when some of the young players came and played, Sam Rinzel and Oliver Moore. So kind of as that young kind of core was in games that were important for other teams. The Montreal game stands out to me as a game that Montreal needed to win, and I thought the group played really well. And so you can see the makings of a team that has an opportunity to continue to build and get better. And that's going to be our focus. And I don't know what that timeline is. I don't know what that timeline looks like, but I know that we're going to keep focused on our process, making sure that we're process driven to getting to building this team into a championship level team.
Yeah, how big a challenge is that? Especially you've gone through it in Detroit, their rebuild, and not every rebuild is the same. And this one, I think you enter at a point where it's ascending, unlike having to go through the top to the bottom like you did in Detroit. That being said, how do you manage expectations that come with a rebuild, coupled with everybody wanting to see an ascension up the standings?
Yeah, and that part I understand totally, and certainly not every rebuild's different, and the timing of these two are certainly different in my eyes. But I just think it's a matter of keeping everybody focused on that process part of it, and making sure that wins, just judging wins and losses, and I get wins and losses are important, but in the short term, if you just judge wins and losses, the emotion of that clouds your judgment as to whether you're doing things right or not. And so I think being solution-based, not short-term solution, but long-term solution-based, making sure we're working towards those long-term solutions, continuing to get better in those areas, and not letting a few wins in a row cloud our judgment of whether we're doing it right, not letting a few losses in a row cloud our judgment of whether we're doing it right. That'll be the biggest key.
Lastly, your message to the Blackhawks faithful out there that will be filling this United Center and giving you goosebump moments with the anthem. Your message to them about what a Jeff Blashill coach Blackhawks team is going to produce.
Yeah, I think number one, when we don't have the puck, we're going to be a pressured team. We're going to try to force the other team to cough up the puck, give us turnovers, whether it's through forecheck or whether it's even in D-zone coverage or through tracking and gapping. And we want to make sure we're a pressure team in those areas. And when we have the puck, we want to make sure we're predictable to each other so we can play fast. And what that'll look like is just, if at its best, it looks like a relentless attack where we're utilizing our speed so we can create chances off the rush. We're utilizing ozone and forecheck to then create almost a half-ice game where they give us the puck and we jam it back down their throats. It doesn't look like that every night, but that's what it looked like in a perfect world.
Can't wait for training camp.
Same.
Thanks for doing this. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.